We're moments away from Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal series. As we check out the starting lineups for the three-time defending champion Los Angeles Lakers. In the backcourt, Derek Fisher, Kobe Bryant. Up front, Devin George for the injured Rick Fox, Shaquille O'Neal, and Robert Horry. And for the Spurs, who went 60-22 in the regular season, best record in the NBA, a backcourt of Tony Parker and Steven Jackson, Bruce Bowen, the defensive specialist up front with David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Marv Albert with Azar, Mike Fratello. We welcome Jeff Van Gundy back to our crew. And our sideline reporter is Craig Sager. Let's go to Craig.
Well, they've been chanting MVP in arenas from Los Angeles to Minneapolis to Orlando all season. When it came down to the voters, they looked at the quiet leadership of Tim Duncan, the best player on the best team. He was honored tonight with his second MVP for his consistency from start to finish. Perhaps the most fundamentally sound player in the league. He does it all. He passes, he rebounds, he blocks, he shoots, and defends. And Marv, although it is not a popularity contest, don't underestimate his conduct on and off the court, as well as his humility that is very popular with those who vote.
All right, Craig, and Phil Jackson is always trying to touch a nerve. He said it's a real impetus to our team for Tim Duncan to take that MVP award. He said, I like that because it gets Shaquille O'Neal going. The officials, Jim Capers, Mike Callahan, and Ed Rupp, David Robinson jumping against Shaquille O'Neal. And we're underway as Derek Fisher controls. Devin George right down to Shaquille O'Neal, who spins his way on Robinson, rebounded by Duncan. And here comes Jackson being chased by George. Now Parker. Jackson telling us he was very concerned about the penetrating ability of Tony Parker. Duncan with the step, gives it up. Robinson with the first bucket of the night.
You see the all-around greatness of Tim Duncan. That time he saw the seam, put his head down, went to the basket. He lets Shaquille O'Neal leave his man, and he finds his teammate for the easy score.
Kobe Bryant being played here at the start by Bowen. Jackson, and it's apparently stepped out of bounds.
One of the things that Phil Jackson mentioned is this is a different Spurs team than the one they had beaten the last 2 years because there's much more depth on the bench and much more athleticism to this team.
Robert Horry has not had a good shooting season, although Phil Jackson says he knows he'll step up when the shots are important. Here's O'Neal. And the foul. Crowd was looking for a traveling violation.
And you see San Antonio's defensive strategy early in the game against O'Neal. No double teams. Let Robinson play him by himself. The most difficult thing, though, is to guard him after he misses the shot. Impossible to block him out. And there, a foul drawn, and he's improved his free throw shooting as well.
Back 62% from the line during the season, and 61 in the 6 games against the T-Wolves.
Well, one of the keys for San Antonio will be how many minutes can David Robinson really give him on the floor. They don't expect to get much more than 25 to 30 minutes. That's providing he doesn't get into real early foul trouble guarding Shaq. And we've seen first couple times down, the ball's gone right in the hole to Shaquille O'Neal.
Now Duncan being played by Horry. Rebounded by Fisher. A live TNT NBA Spanish language feed is now available via SAP. Kobe directing traffic. You see Bowen digging in. Jack with the rebound and puts it home.
And there's the difficulty when David Robinson leaves O'Neal's body to come and give help on Bryant. It leaves O'Neal free for a second shot. Somebody's got to sink down and get a body on O'Neal.
And that pass got away. Robinson looking for Duncan. David Robinson has gone through another injury-hit season. This is his finale. He's had trouble with his right knee. He's had back problems. Missed game 2 in the series against Phoenix because of a cartilage tear in his left knee. It's a we will see quite a bit of Malik Rose, who's played well against the Lakers. Good ball movement, sends it up for George. Rebounded by Robinson. We are just underway. 2.5 minutes gone by. Duncan going glass.
Marv, you really got excited today in practice when they actually did a shooting drill where they said, glass, you have to make every shot off the glass. You got excited watching that.
I expected to see Sam Jones appear on the court. And yes, the Spurs work it as a regular drill as O'Neal is able to hit. It counts and the foul. So Shaq to the line. He's fouled by Jackson, who came over trying to help.
The idea is to try and play him straight up, but get as much help from the outside as possible. There you see Jackson coming back, sinking down low or digging in to try and get some extra help so that Robinson just doesn't get caught straight up one-on-one.
Shaquille O'Neal spent his early years here in San Antonio, attending Cole High School here in the River City. And apparently a lane violation. It was O'Neal on the follow-through.
Yes, you cannot go over the line on the follow-through until the ball touches the rim. They changed that rule now. The shooter out of his hand, hits the rim, then he may come across Shaq touchdown before it hits.
And Mark Cuban has made that a point of emphasis, trying to get the referees to call that as you see Parker penetrate. And I think it can have an effect psychologically on O'Neal. He has to concentrate on where his feet are.
No question that was the design of Mark Cuban and the Mavericks to point that out. So Shaq has it on his mind, but he's right in terms of the letter of the law, so to speak, because that is the rule. It is Laker ball.
Little zone defense coming on this side out of bounds. Take a look at the San Antonio defense right here.
Fisher played well by Parker. Shot clock running down, and Fisher had a forfeit.
So it pays off for him. Remember, anytime the ball goes out on the side where it's a 14-second reset on the clock, you don't have as much time to throw as many passes. San Antonio tried it that time. It was very effective.
Here's Duncan on a quick release and comes up empty. So the ball back to the Lakers. This is a Laker team that at one point had a record of 11-19 with many questions being posed. They finished the season going 39-13, turning it from what appeared to be a turbulent year, but were able to straighten out. Robert Horry has given the Lakers a 7-6 lead. Owen loves that right-hand side for the three-point shot. Led the NBA in three-point field goal accuracy.
But even with that, teams don't respect his three-point shot. And you notice Kobe Bryant coming off on every dribble penetration to give help. Bruce Bowen's going to have to be an efficient offensive player in this series to keep Bryant at home.
Parker using the pick from Robinson. Robinson with the rainbow. Robert Horry looks like he had a notion to take it to the rim and then brings it back out. And the Lakers reset. There's Kobe Bryant trying to shake off Bruce Bowen. Kobe has not shot well this season against the Spurs. O'Neal, Shaquille O'Neal powering his way to the basket.
You get the feeling that there was a little something special behind that when he realized that Duncan was on top of him, and he also, I think, remembered the opening ceremony tonight. What do you think?
I think that, and I'd like to get out of the way if I was those two guys right now.
Well, there's no question that Shaq is using that as Duncan comes right back. Shaquille is using it as a little extra motivation.
And he knows against San Antonio, he's going to face more one-on-one coverage than he ever saw the entire series against Minnesota. So he's going to have a chance to get his on a primary move.
Lakers have a 1-point lead as we come up on 6 minutes remaining in the first. Derek Fisher, who has relocated the touch from long range, rebounded by Horry. Here's George called for a traveling violation. With the ball back to San Antonio. But first, a timeout call by Greg Popovich.
You see Tim Duncan with his ability to face up, put it down on the floor, and then watch him finish with his left hand so it doesn't get blocked with his right. Talk about force, power, strength. You got it all right here with Shaquille O'Neal.
Across the country, Jeep, the most respected, honored, and heroic 4x4s out there. Verizon Wireless. Sign up for America's Choice Family Share Plan. Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you. And in Jeep Deep, cold filter what you don't need. Keep what's good.
Welcome back to the SBC Center in San Antonio, Texas. Czar, Jeff is back, although it was touch and go at one point.
I'm honored, really happy to have you back here, by the way. I did miss you.
Thank you. And I think I bloomed without you, but now nice to be back in a supportive role.
What kind of blooming did you do?
Blooming or blossoming or?
Blossoming, both.
I see.
Yes, with the water, yeah. Not you, Marv. I'm talking about
you. You're looking at me.
No, I'm talking to you, but I'm looking at Mike. You know?
I think this game is about ready to blossom. Here we go.
Talking with Greg Popovich earlier, he was saying what a huge psychological lift winning game one would be for the Spurs. Duncan, San Antonio has been an excellent road team. In fact, they've won 18 of the last 20 on the road. Jeff, you get the idea? Perhaps they might have been more comfortable opening on the road because of the pressure of facing the Lakers in game one here at home.
Right, they've been beaten by the Lakers the last 2 years, been dominated, and now they know 7 months they've worked so hard to get home court advantage, and it could be taken away here in game one. I think for them to win the series, they've got to win these two.
Foul on Parker. Lakers have won 8 of the last 9 against San Antonio in postseason. Last season, they led the Lakers. San Antonio did in the fourth quarter of all 5 games, but won only 1. They were swept the previous year. And that was last touch by Shaq.
Watch how they gain space so Duncan can get the shot off. When the pass goes inside, they run a little slice cut, and then what you're going to see is a guard comes off and runs the screen to get the big man the shot immediately. There's the big man, little screen, and the shot.
And back live, Tim Duncan is able to go last, so the Spurs now lead at 12-9. Just under 5 remaining in the first. Here is O'Neal.
And I love this defensive strategy by San Antonio. Don't double and open up the floor for their role players. Make O'Neal shoot time and time again.
And a foul is called. The strip attempted, but Fisher got a piece, and he picks it up.
There's the penetration that you had heard Phil Jackson talk about. Point guard penetration has been a problem for the Laker defense the entire season.
Tony Parker at the line against the Suns in the first round of the playoffs. In the early games, severely outplayed by Stephon Marbury, but then came back strong with a playoff career high of 29 and then 19. He missed 17 of his first 20 shots against Phoenix and then turned it around.
You know, when you talk about team statistics, it's tough to find weak areas for San Antonio off the season they had. But the two that really stand out are turnovers and missed free throws. That time Parker going 1 for 2. This year they were 26th in the NBA, shooting just 72% from the foul line.
Raymond Jackson with about a half hour to take that shot.
Too much time, actually. Should have just caught and shot, looking at the line. It's not the same rhythm as you get normally.
Bryant, beautiful drive by Kobe protecting the ball against Bowen. Lakers are only 5 of 18 from the field here at the start. It's challenging Bowen to take the shot. You saw Kobe step away. And here's Malik Rose, who just checked in. In the first round against the Suns, averaged 14 a game. That's up 4 points from the regular season. And Rose trying to contend with Shaquille O'Neal. Malik Rose very strong, but only 6'7", about 250 pounds.
Jeff, I understand you have to try and buy some time, but look at the size difference between Malik Rose and Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, in reality, what do you expect Malik Rose to do with him? You're hoping that the Lakers don't go to him on a regular basis. You're hoping to get a lot of help from other people.
All right, here comes Parker. Ginobili just came on. Rebounded by Rose. And apparently a problem with the shot clock. The official Mike Callahan indicating over at the scorer's table that they have to take some time off.
But that push up the floor by San Antonio is exactly what Popovich wants. He does not want his team to become locked into half court. Push it up, attack the basket, try to get something early in the clock.
And that's where guys like Jackson, we see Tony Parker hit that jump shot. That's where guys like Jackson and Ginobili have changed this team, because there are times where Popovich told us he's not quite sure what they're going to do, but they make things happen that are good for the team. It takes them out of that predictability.
And San Antonio in the midst of an 11-2 run. Here's Devin George rejected by Duncan, recovered by O'Neal. And it's let's see, again, a problem with the shot clock.
Ball never touched the rim. It shouldn't have been a reset. And you should never have that happen at home, Mark. You got to get rid of that guy.
What happens is Duncan rejects the shot, and then the Spurs are so anxious. There you see, it doesn't touch the rim. Now the Spurs are so anxious to take off, nobody goes back and gets the basketball.
So the Spurs have a 17-11 lead on the Lakers, and a timeout has been called with 2:45 remaining in this first quarter.
Well, you see Duncan make his teammate better. You see Duncan grab a board, and we see him go back in and score.
He shot only 6 of 20, had 14 points as the Nets beat the Celtics in game one. Paul Pierce had 34 along with 8 assists, missed a three-pointer that would have tied him with about 7 seconds remaining. Jason Kidd, 15 points, 9 assists. Kenny Martin, 21 points. Here's Kobe Bryant. Game 2 between the Boston Celtics, New Jersey Nets. Wednesday night, first of our TNT doubleheader to be followed by Game 2 between the Lakers and the Spurs. Tim Duncan is up front with Malik Rose and Bruce Bowen, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker in the backcourt. Duncan's shot is guided to the side by the pressure from O'Neal. Brian Shaw and Mark Maxson have come on for the first time. Here's Shaq. And to this point, the Spurs have not been able to come up with any kind of an answer for Shaquille O'Neal. 9 points, 6 rebounds.
But when you hit him in transition like that, and he's so deep, nobody else can come back to give Duncan help.
Ginobili draws the foul. Foul by O'Neal. That is his first, and that prompts the roar from the crowd. We've had some difficulties with the shot clock at both ends. For more of that, let's go to Craig.
Well, Mark, Jeff suggested that the guy here in San Antonio should be fired for making a call against the Spurs when he reset the shot clock. Remember, in the playoffs, the NBA has a neutral, silent observer who actually overrules anything going on at the scorer's table in shot clock. He's sitting center court directly across you, Jeff. He's got a green shirt on, very easy to spot. So normally the guy in charge does not have control of it.
In fact, he's the guy who's been staring at you, Jeff, since that remark was made.
Well, then he should be fired. Get it right. It's a playoff.
Just under 2 to go in this first quarter. And the call is against the Lakers. Offensive foul on Maxson. Spurs with an 18-15 lead. Mark Maxson and Brian Shaw getting more playing time because of the injury suffered by Rick Fox, who's out for the rest of the playoffs because of that torn tendon in his left foot. Ginobili being played by Bryant, able to lose it. Shaq came over and got a piece of it. Here's Bryant. Trying to set it up for Maxson. Rose with the steal. Duncan gives it back to Parker. Ginobili wanted the ball. Parker Another rebound for Shaq.
They're trying to involve O'Neal in as many high pick and rolls as possible to make him play pick and roll defense. So far, it hasn't proven to be very successful.
Bryant. Kobe's been off, and last touch by Matson.
Kobe felt that he had Tony Parker on him. He didn't waste any time at all. He turned, elevated over Parker, fading away a little too much, pulled up short on the shot.
Kobe still bothered by that sore right shoulder, an injury sustained in the series against the T-Wolves. Speedy Claxton has come on, handling against Derek Fisher. And here's Bowen for three. Rebound Ginobili, the tip by Rose.
The athleticism of Ginobili. He is all over the floor. He's got hands in, deflecting passes, and picking the dribbles off of the people he's guarding. He gives this team a different dimension than they had a year ago.
3-second differential between the game clock and the shot clock as this first quarter runs down. And a foul against San Antonio. It's against Malik Rose. So the Spurs are over the limit.
Just to hit on Mike's point about Ginobili. Ginobili's the type of player that scares both coaches. The opposing coach, Phil Jackson, is scared of those spontaneous plays he makes, and Greg Popovich is scared because he has no idea what Ginobili's going to do in any given situation. But he felt there was a definite need to upgrade the perimeter, and Steven Jackson and Ginobili and the improvement of Parker have done that.
That's Popovich using the word spontaneity. He said it's good and it's bad. But it has provided a different aspect that San Antonio has not had in recent years. They're certainly more athletic. Here's Claxton, met by O'Neal. He challenged him. Fisher with time running out. Fisher fires. So that's the end of the first quarter. It's the Spurs 20 and the Lakers 16. See the numbers on Duncan. O'Neal leading the Lakers with 10 points and 8 rebounds. Lakers shot only 7 for 24. Spurs just 9 for 22. But it's San Antonio by 4 after 1. A look at the Riverwalk here in San Antonio on a hot and muggy 84-degree night as we welcome you back. Marv Albert with the Czar, Mike Fratello, Jeff Van Gundy, Craig Sager. Spurs have a 20-16 lead on the Lakers in this game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal series. A matchup of two teams that did not have an easy time in their opening round matchups. San Antonio did beat the 8th seed Phoenix Suns in 6. Winding it up in Phoenix this past Thursday night. And the Lakers pushed by the Timberwolves and did defeat Minnesota finally in 6. Lakers winning 3 straight after trailing 2 games to 1.
I think what it did is it gave both these teams a wake-up call earlier than they thought they may have had to. I'm sure both of them went into the first round looking ahead a little bit to the second round. Both of them were tested in that first round.
Danny Ferry has checked in for the first time. Shaquille O'Neal getting a rest. Duncan played by Matson as this second quarter gets underway, and a foul is called. Tim Duncan was pushed. Foul on Matson, that's his second.
Marv, what was interesting is at that quarter break, Danny Ferry and Willis were both up. And Greg Popovich waited to see if Phil Jackson was going to rest O'Neal. Since he did, Ferry came in the game. If O'Neal would have stayed in, Kevin Willis would have stayed in as well.
Tim Duncan has had his ups and downs at the foul line, and free throw shooting has been a major problem for the Spurs this season. In the regular campaign, only 73%, 26th in the league. First round against Phoenix, only 70%. Lakers also have their difficulties at the line, but that's primarily because of Shaquille O'Neal. Ginobili now defending on Bryant. Here's Kobe. Yes.
You see Bruce Bowen go out, they go to Kobe Bryant against the rookie Ginobili, and he gets a better look off against him than he would have against Bruce Bowen.
Matson trying to deal with Duncan. Here's Ferry for 3. Rosa thought we'd see a bit more of Samaki Walker, one-time member of the San Antonio Spurs. An offensive foul on Bryant. Smoky Walker knows Tim Duncan from going up against him in practice and has more size than Madsen. And we might yet see Samaki, who has not been getting the playing time. 21-18, San Antonio. Ferry setting the pick, and Ori switches off to Ginobili. Jackson stepped out of bounds.
Mike, I have a question. How long is the court?
94.
That's the second time Steven Jackson has thought it was 94 plus.
He thought he had a little bit of room with that left hand in there, shoving him out of bounds. May have had something to do with it.
All right,
but that's okay.
I stand corrected.
It's okay, because that's how you always play defense when you coach. You push him out of bounds at 15.
Here's Bryant. And Kobe got some help from Madsen. Let's see who will receive credit. Was it a tip by? Yes, no, it's Kobe's bucket. So the Spurs with a 1-point lead. 8 points for Bryant. Duncan is fouled by Madsen. So that is number 3 on Mark Madsen. And Tim Duncan heads back to the line. Reminder tomorrow on ESPN, it's game 1 of the 76ers and the Pistons beginning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, and on ESPN2 at 9 o'clock, it's the Kings and the Mavericks in game 1. And on Tuesday, it's a Wednesday on TNT, it's game 2 of the Celtics and the Nets, followed by the Lakers and the Kings. Coverage starting at 7 o'clock. And it's the Lakers and the Spurs.
A little more pressure being applied here by San Antonio. They've extended their defense, moved it down the floor, trying to get the Lakers to use up a little bit more time before they get into their set offense.
By Brian Shaw. Oh, what a move by Bryant. And then he's blocked by Duncan. Samaki Walker just checked in, coming up short. And Ferry went down, and he came together with Bryant. And Mike Callahan blowing the whistle. Let's see how he calls it. It's a double foul.
And if you're San Antonio, you're going to take that. A foul on Ferry, a foul on Bryant. You get the benefit of the doubt right there as they get locked up right here.
They get hooked up with each other. Their arms are hooked up, and as Danny Ferry goes down, Kobe falls with him. That's a tough way for players to get a foul.
Eddie Claxton and Ginobili now in the backcourt with Robinson, Ferry, and Jackson up front. Both clubs struggling with the shot. Here's Bryant. Lakers only 9 for 31 from the field. Kobe just 4 of 11. Ginobili to the crossover, rejected by Ori. Here comes Bryant, 1-on-3.
These are wide open looks for Kobe Bryant. That time you're talking about a 15-foot jump shot wide open. He's just not able to knock him down right now in the game.
Ferry. And kept alive by Claxton.
This group on the floor is trying to figure out what they want to do offensively, and Speedy takes it into his own hands, turns the corner, goes to the basket.
Eddie Claxton is back from a dislocated right shoulder. He was out earlier this season, and he drew the foul. It's on Brian Shaw. So Claxton is headed to the line. 8.5 remaining, first half. The Spurs sweeping the series 4-0 back in 1999. A sweep in 2001, and Lakers took the series last year in the Western semifinals, 4-1. In fact, the Lakers have won 8 of the last 9 playoff games against San Antonio.
The big thing is they've been able to win on the road in these last 2 years that they've beaten them. They've won all the road games here. So there's a factor in here of confidence for the Lakers when they come in. Something interesting that Ray Popovich said to us today. Both these teams really enjoy winning on the road. They know the pain and suffering that the home team goes through. It's part of that bonding experience that teams go through.
And exactly why they lost all 4 home games the past 2 years, the Spurs that is, because they couldn't score the ball enough against the Lakers. Here tonight, even though they're up, they're shooting only 34% from the floor. They're not getting enough quality looks right now.
Eddie Claxton out of Hofstra, #1 draft pick of the Philadelphia 76ers. And backup Tony Parker. Spurs now lead at 24-20. Shaquille O'Neal is back. Here's Shaq with a power move against Robinson and called for the offensive foul. That's his second personal.
I think this is one of the tough calls for officials. I'm not saying it's an incorrect call, but when he turns in, there's that left arm that goes out. Left forearm goes out, hits Robinson in the upper part of the body. That's the offensive foul. But my point was that when Shaq turns in, it's a fine line between when he's really moving in and moving that off a defensive player away, or when he's just taking a natural turn. The fact that he's just a big man.
No, that's not a big man. That's the largest human being I've ever seen in my life. A big man is like Robert Orr.
David Robinson looks dwarfed next to Shaquille O'Neal. Kevin George. So the Lakers are within 2. First field goal for George. He missed his first 4 shots. Even Jackson not able to get into it. Challenge O'Neal. And back comes Shaw. Shaw waiting for Shaq to make his way back down court. Fisher's pass picked off by Claxton. Good play by Speedy Claxton. Nice setup. Jackson for Robinson.
And that's exactly the spontaneity that Greg Popovich has talked about. Play before, Jackson, poor decision. That time broke him down off the dribble and found Robinson for the easy layup.
Ginobili with the steal. Claxton with Fisher back. Here's Claxton.
And there's the hands of Ginobili getting a piece of the ball, deflecting it, and coming up with it, and then starting the fast breakout.
Good hands again as Claxton knocked it away, and then Shaq was not able to find the handle. Another Laker turnover. 3 straight Laker turnovers.
We have Bowen back in now for the Spurs, replacing Ginobili.
Duncan being played by Ori once again with some help. You saw Fisher come over. Coming up on 6 minutes remaining in the first half, and San Antonio up by 6. Here's O'Neal. That time a good job by Robinson. Claxton reversing himself. Trying to put it high off the glass. Duncan on the follow, yes. And a pass.
As soon as the shot goes up on the glass, more attention is paid to the ball than it is to Tim Duncan. Duncan just kind of roams down the lane. It falls in his hands, and he's got the great hands to catch it, finish it, and get fouled.
You might want to lose the suit.
They're ready for the NBA playoffs. Are you? The NBA playoffs are on TNT, but you can still catch back-to-back episodes of Law & Order tomorrow night at 7 on TNT.
Welcome back to San Antonio, where the Spurs lead the Lakers 30-22. A homecoming for Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq played high school basketball here in San Antonio. He attended Cole High. In 1989, he led the Cole Cougars to the state high school basketball championship. How dominating was Shaq at Cole High School? The record 36-0. He, of course, was named the high school player of the year. And with me is high school coach Herb Moore. A lot of people say Phil Jackson is so lucky to be able to coach Shaq. What was it like to coach him in high school?
Well, it was awesome. I mean, back in high school, it was even more fun because Shaquille was so mobile. He could take the ball coast to coast. We used him to break the press. He'd shoot the 15-footers. He was a good three-point shooter in high school. We never shot him in a game, but he could shoot it.
Despite his size and bulk, how hard did he work on his fundamentals and his footwork and his skills?
He worked tremendously hard. Shaquille's a person that I think he wants to dominate whatever he does. He'd get in the weight room and work as hard as he could. He wanted to get strong. He wanted to get more agile. And, that's just something he always has had. I don't think he gets enough credit for that in his career.
He's a father, three-time father, but he's still a kid at heart. Do you keep in touch with him?
Oh, yeah, we talked today. He is a big kid at heart. And, the Shaquille you see in interviews is nothing like the Shaquille that's, out there in person.
All right, thanks a lot, Herb. Let's get back down there.
All right, thanks, Craig. Shaq, 10 points, 11 rebounds thus far, and a block shot right there. That's his third rejection. 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Here's Bryant for three. Kobe Bryant from downtown. And San Antonio now leads by 5. And the Lakers have finally hit 30% shooting. They're 11 of 36 from the field. They have been struggling. Here's Claxton. Nice back tap by Robinson. Jackson. And an offensive foul on Jackson.
Jeff, between the 6'5" and 6'8" guys that have played for San Antonio, and I'm talking about Bowen, Jackson, and Ginobili, they are 0 for 9 right now in the game. They have not been able to make a shot. And whether it's happenstance or it's good defense matched up against them, not to say they haven't contributed in other ways, but they have a real tough time between those three people in those positions shooting the basketball.
And that's why it's going to get increasingly more difficult for Duncan to score. If some other perimeter player can't continually make the Los Angeles perimeter defenders be honest, Duncan's space is going to constrict even more.
Now Duncan getting position right there. Spurs now lead by 7.
We have Robert Horry frozen down low, too low. Horry couldn't do anything. The best thing to do is watch and say, goodbye. It was down.
Hunter Ginobili getting set to check back in. Here is Bryant. Well, Kobe is now 5 for 14. Nice pass. Jackson set it up, but Duncan could not finish. Bryant working hard on Bowen, and Robinson able to come up with a rejection, and Duncan took a shot on the head.
And he tripped over Bryant as he was staggering down the floor.
Apparently Tim is all right, setting the pick for Parker. Good hustle by George and a foul on Duncan. That's the second committed by Duncan.
I think that whole series is a series of frustration for Duncan going back to when he gets hit. Right here at the end. Watch as the hand comes back and hits him right there in the left eye. From there, he stumbles and goes down. Again, you'll see the hand come across and hit Duncan in the eye. He falls down right after that. Had a real tough time getting back down the offensive end, then committed the foul.
And Marv, if you notice, I think he got hit because Kobe Bryant was frustrated that he didn't get a call. And like a lot of players, threw his arm, inadvertently hit Duncan. And then that whole sequence led to Duncan's second foul. That's a huge factor.
Only the first team foul, though, on San Antonio. Derek Fisher with a good-looking three from straight away. He's been hitting from downtown, provided a lift in Game 5 against Minnesota. 5 of 7 from beyond that three-point line. Phil Jackson said it was an inspirational game by Derek Fisher. Duncan is stopped. Nice play by Fisher at the other end. And And a timeout called by Phil Jackson. Just under 3 remaining in the first half. Spurs with a 32-28 lead on the Lakers here in the Alamo City. San Antonio Spurs, Greg Popovich, who this past Monday was named as the NBA's Coach of the Year as part of the ceremony honoring Greg. The entire Spurs coaching staff was invited out to the floor at shoot-around earlier today. We said to Greg, that was a nice gesture. What did he say, John?
He said, this man right here, P.J. Carlissimo, had suggested to Greg that when you receive the award, why don't you bring all the assistant coaches out on the floor? So P.J. wanted a little time out on the floor with the rest of his buddies on the staff, suggested to Pop. Pop obliges, brings him out.
P.J. always looking for extra exposure. Robinson, yes.
There are a lot of great staffs in the NBA, and a lot of staffs really have a great closeness, but you got to go from the top this group here in San Antonio. They are a very special group, a very special feeling here. This is truly a family type of atmosphere. It starts with Popovich, but then each of the assistants has their own identity and personality. Danny Ferry said the team nicknamed P.J. Carlissimo Sunshine because from the first second they get in every day to the complex where they practice, he does nothing but harass the players. Nothing but harass.
Bryant able to save that pass. And here's George for 3. I thought you were a very fine target of Sunshine earlier today.
Picking on me? No, not teaching him.
Duncan. And he draws the foul. Duncan got the step on Ori, saw Shaq moving in his direction. And the foul charged to Ori. Lakers over the foul limit. And Duncan back to the line. He's just 2 of 5 at the line.
Jeff, am I missing something here? But the Lakers have 28 points with 1 minute and 45 seconds to go here. Now, is this great defense on San Antonio's part that's holding it to 28 points, or is it just that the Lakers can't, are they that gang that can't shoot straight right now? What's going on?
Well, I think it's a good plan. They're playing both O'Neal and Bryant head up. Bowen can do an admirable job on Bryant. And then the other guys for Los Angeles are very limited players.
Kobe Bryant makes the turn, is able to score, and draws the foul. Now, Kobe has certainly had good looks. He's now just 6 of 17.
They run the pick and roll, the two-man game. Duncan winds up switching on to Kobe Bryant, and that's the foul going to the basket.
And that's a huge third foul for Tim Duncan in the last minute and a half of this game. But I think, Mark, you're right about Bryant. He's had some good looks, but I don't think people that play against Bruce Bowen give him the credit. He's not a steal guy. He's a stay in front, contest the shot, don't give you any bailout open shots, and that's what makes him difficult to go against.
Minute and a half remaining in the first half, and the Spurs lead by 4.
You know who really deserves credit on that play, Jeff? The screener set such a good screen on Bowen. He couldn't get over the top. So when he tried to go underneath the screen, couldn't get under it. As a result, Duncan winds up coming over and playing him. There's the third foul on Duncan. So you got to give the screener some credit for setting a great screen by Robert Horry that time.
Bryant met by the double. Bowen did a nice job, but the Lakers able to score. And Mike Callahan blows the whistle. Devin George able to hit on the follow.
And that's what George brings to their team more than a Rick Fox. Offensive rebounding, running the floor athleticism. Maybe not as good as an individual defender or a spot-up shooter, but those are the type of plays George needs to make when teams double team off of him.
Apparently the problem with the clock once again, and they're resetting it.
Yeah, there's Craig's guy over there again. Guy he's sucking up to over there.
Good observing.
Yeah. Must be from Boston.
Spurs with a 2-point lead. That's that should have been a double dribble. And that's what the Lakers will say. He put the ball on the floor. All right, here's Fisher. Shaq. And Derek says, give me an assist. So here are the Lakers who have been struggling with the shot. Not that San Antonio has been on fire, but it tied the game at 35. And Shaq had a notion to go coast to coast.
Well, he saw his high school coach in the stands and figured he had done it back in the old days. Why not try it again?
And we saw it in the All-Star game. Coming up on 10 seconds remaining in the half. 3-second differential between the game clock and shot clock. Here's Bryant. Rose with the rebound. Willis fires from center court and scores! Kevin Willis with a fling. Did not hit a three-point shot all season. Not a guy who looks to shoot from three-point range.
Well, he saves them for when the buzzer's going off. He never had those opportunities during the season, but when he gets them, he can make them, boy.
Marvin, the Czar never let him get his game off and shoot those threes back in Atlanta. Now, here in San Antonio, he's got that freedom.
You know, go back to the beginning of that. Kobe Bryant, I'm pretty sure, was fouled on his forearm by Willis. It turns into a three for San Antonio.
Let's go to Craig.
Well, a 38-35 scored intermission as an 8-time all-defensive player. Talk about your team's defense against the Lakers.
Well, it's been good. You know, they're so tough, and one of the things you just got to keep them off the boards, keep them from getting their easy buckets. I thought we've done a good job of that. We haven't been as efficient offensively as we like, but shoot, keeping the 35 points is a good half.
In the past, there's been an antagonistic relationship between you and Shaq since he was in high school. He said you snubbed him on an autograph one time. You boys kept your cool. Tonight I saw him hug you and embrace you. Is it amicable now?
That's what happens when you get older, you know. I don't know. Things start to change or something. But, no, you know, it's always just been on the court. On the court is always, I don't care who you are, you got an animosity for the other guy. And I had it for other guys when I first came in the league. And as you get to know them, I think things kind of ease up a little bit. But, you know, the competition's going on. There's not going to be any too much friendship here on the floor. We got to play hard.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go back to Marv.
All right, thanks, Craig. Shaquille O'Neal, 12 points, 15 rebounds in the first half. And here is that last second heave by the 40-year-old Kevin Willis. A three-pointer for Willis. And he's given the Spurs a 38-35 lead at the half. Tim Duncan, 15 points. Kobe Bryant with 14. Let's go to our Atlanta studios. Here's Ernie.
All right, thank you very much, Marv. It is time for the Verizon Wireless halftime report. Charles Barkley's here. Kenny the Jet Smith is here. Our special guest is Troy Hudson of the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Kevin Willis hitting a three at the buzzer. He was 0 for 2 this season. He didn't hit one last year. He was 1 for 6 in the 2001 season. So he was due. How about that shot, Jet?
Well, Kevin Willis is lucky. Old and lucky.
Oh, my. So you just got done with a 6-game series against these Lakers. How is what you've seen in game one here different from what you went through in 6 games?
I think San Antonio's ability to play, you know, the two superstars head up is allowing them to stay in this game. You know, they're not giving Fisher and Ori and those other guys open looks. And, you know, that's allowing them to stay in this game.
Shaq, 12 points, 15 rebounds in the first half. Kobe Bryant, what is Kobe in the first half? 6 out of 19 for 14 points.
Well, that's one of the reasons, you know, I picked San Antonio to win the series because I think between Steven Jackson, Bruce Boyd, and Jeff Dobley, they can really.
Why is he killing you?
They can really make Kobe. They can work him offensively. They can work him defensively.
I will guarantee you this half. Forget 6 for 19. I will guarantee you this half that Kobe will shoot over 80% from the field in the second half.
Whatever you want to bet.
Wow.
Anything you want to bet,
Yeah,
I'll take
I'm in
that
on
that bet too.
Over 80%.
I think I'll take a chunk of that too. 80%.
Because he's getting the shots he wants. He's just missing them.
I'm telling you, they got a lot of bodies to run at him.
He will shoot 80% from the half. He'll shoot about 8 for 10.
How about David Robinson?
What you do this weekend? Okay, we'll see.
David Robinson's contribution in the first half here. He's got 6 points. He's got 5 rebounds so far.
Well, they need a lot out of David because they have an advantage. David is not intimidated by Shaq. He can't stop Shaq. Nobody can stop Shaq.
and then they can bring Duncan over, and then Shaq has to use energy to play Tim Duncan, but they got nobody who can guard him on the offensive end. See, that's why I picked San Antonio.
So you win, yeah, but you said the Lakers were going to win too, so you got both teams.
No. On our board, I picked the Lakers to win this series. But I don't.
The Lakers?
No, I picked San Antonio.
Okay.
But you know what? I've been saying nobody can beat the Lakers as long as Shaq's healthy. But
Shaq is healthy.
But this year, I just feel like it's going to catch up with him. Injury to Rick Fox, to wear him.
But I don't think it's going to be these guys because Ginobili cannot guard him, or Bruce Bowen.
Oh, but hey, first of all, let me just say this. Give me a picture of Shaq coach y'all upstairs. Come on.
Shaq's coach.
Look at what Shaq has got his coach sitting.
No, he don't have him up here.
Yes, he does.
No, he does.
Yes, he does.
No,
he does.
That's Shaq who
That's his high school coach.
He must not did a good job. I bet Dale Brown would have been a little closer.
Hey, glad you mentioned Dale Brown. Give a great shout out to Dale Brown. He's been sick. He had the stroke, and God bless him. He's always been a nice man.
Yeah, actually, he is a wonderful human being. And at halftime here, it is a 38-35 game. San Antonio leading by 3, a huge game for them. They've lost 4 straight playoff games in their gym
So I had that
to the
halftime
Lakers.
last year.
28. When we come back, 35. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference
Oh
semis.
my God, not total motion.
Total motion from Richard.
And it was a late wake-up call for the Los Angeles Lakers. We welcome you back to the SBC Center. San Antonio Spurs have a 3-point lead at the half. Marv Albert, Jeff Van Gundy with the czar, Mike Fratello. Look at the shooting percentages in the first half. San Antonio just under 35. Lakers at about 31. But the NBA's MVP, Tim Duncan, 6 for 12, 15 points.
6 for 12, got quality shots, used the glass 4 times, and the number, though, that doesn't show up there that's most important or most concerning to San Antonio, 3 for 7 from the free throw line. He's going to have to convert his free throws better.
And Czar for the Lakers, not a happy first half. 9 turnovers along with the poor shooting.
You mentioned 31% shooting for the Lakers, 0 points off their bench. Their leading assist man is Shaquille O'Neal, and they only have 5 free throw attempts for the entire half. They've really struggled at the offensive end.
All right, here's a look at our Home Depot game summary. See the shooting percentages. Lakers do have the advantage off the boards, led by Shaq with 15 rebounds, along with his 12 points. And the Spurs have done it off the bench. Obviously, the Lakers have not. Let's go to Craig.
Well, so often we talk about Shaq and Kobe and the supporting cast. Well, the supporting cast of Los Angeles Lakers tonight, 4 out of 17, according to Laker coaching staff. That is not going to do it. They're not happy with the role players, the supporting cast, for going off the dribble and taking support shots. They need better ball movement. Defensively, they're happy with the job they did on Duncan and Robinson, but they said they got to get the ball down low to Shaq, and if he wants to take over and dominate, fine. Otherwise, give it to Kobe.
All right, Craig, San Antonio ball as this third quarter gets underway. Duncan with Robinson and Bowen up front. Parker and Jackson in the backcourt. Here's Duncan backing. Sets it up for Jackson for 3. And another rebound for O'Neal.
Those 3 players Mike was talking about earlier, Jackson, Ginobili, and Bowen, 0 for 11 now. That's not good enough either.
Here is Kobe Bryant.
We have seen that happen more than just once or twice. The quick, sudden screen, and the defender has no chance of getting over. That's Ori setting the screen again.
Kobe is now 7 of 20 from the field. Parker with a nice move and goes to the teardrop. Bowen and Robinson. Bowen had an opportunity, but his tip went wide, and then Robinson put it home.
Bob, you mentioned the teardrop by Tony Parker. That's something that the assistant coaches started working on with him halfway during the season. Prior to the game, they had him coming down the lane, taking off inside the foul line, working on that little teardrop. We've seen him use it effectively in games.
And pass for O'Neal, broken up. a very difficult matchup for Robert Horry. Tim Duncan using his length. He now has 17. The Spurs lead by 5. Here is Bryant, changed his mind. 2 minutes gone by in the third. Kobe Bryant once again, so he has 18.
The triangle offense at its best. Yeah, get it to Kobe. Shoot that jumper and make it, Kobe.
Triangulate. Give it to Kobe and get out of his way. But he's not having to guard down at this end. He can just roam, save his energy, help out. Those perimeter players like Bruce Bowen are going to have to make shots.
That time Duncan double teamed and forced it up with the shot clock running down. Now Bryant moving to his left, so he's hit his last 3, and the Lakers are within 1.
Seems like Kobe, and it's because Bowen really fights you out there. He labors right now to try and get that space just enough to get a look at the basket, and that's a credit to Bowen's defense working on it.
And Bowen comes back with a 3-point shot. Bowen's first field goal. Spurs 45 and the Lakers 41. Robert Horry not looking for his shot. Bryant forced it. It's a 4-on-2. Duncan, another beautiful pass from Jackson.
Beautiful read that time by Jackson. He knew exactly where Duncan was. Give Duncan credit for getting there. Jackson credit for recognizing what he had in the lane behind him.
On the back tap, here comes Parker. Lakers able to get back. Parker penetrating to set it up for Robinson. And Horry rebounds, and he is hit as Robinson is trying to deflect it away and got a piece of Robert Horry.
The frustration of David Robinson knowing that he had a layup and just missed the layup, and then mad at himself, angry at himself, reaches in and commits the foul. Misses the layup, misses the tip in, and reaches in right there and catches Horry. There it is in Laurie's left eye. He had a little upset.
And Robinson is first foul. David Robinson completing his farewell tour, making his final visit to each NBA city this year before retiring. Illustrious 14-year NBA career. O'Neal, Burchett set up by Kobe, and the Spurs now lead 47-43.
But I don't think San Antonio minds that because they've got only those 2 guys involved right now, O'Neal and Bryant. And so I think San Antonio is going knock another 3 down. They are playing very well defensively, not allowing those other guys to get going.
Well, Bowen hits from the right and now from the left from 3-point land. Spurs by 7. Horry. He thought he was fouled. Robinson came over to help and knocked it out of bounds. So the Lakers have 12 on the shot clock. This is a Laker team that has won their last 13 straight playoff series. Phil Jackson has won 25 straight series. That goes back to his days with the championship Chicago Bulls.
Jeff, something that jumps out right here. Phil Jackson wants the ball being distributed. He knows that Kobe and Shaq obviously are going to take the majority of shots. But right now, with 6.5 minutes remaining here, Kobe has taken 23 field goal attempts. Seems like it's a lot right now.
It is, and the reason is is because San Antonio is not double teaming Bryant or O'Neal. And if they don't double team those two guys, there's no way those other guys are good enough to get involved. As we see Bowen here trying to defend Kobe Bryant, deny him. I don't see a foul there. That's a star call. I mean, I don't see any contact there.
It's only the first foul committed by Bowen. And Jackson freelancing. Gamblin looking for the steal. Bryant has to give it up. Shot clock to 3. George, strip. Bowen with the steal. Jackson for 3. This crowd was ready to explode.
In a situation like that where George realizes just how tough it is to get a shot off with the clock running down. Sometimes they complain. The steal by Jackson.
Jackson called for the offensive foul. That's 3 on Jackson.
This is one of the things with Jackson. Sometimes he makes poor decisions. That time he runs right over the top of Fisher. Fisher very good at picking up the offensive foul.
Yes, Steven Jackson, give it and take it. 4th turnover committed by Jackson. Fisher, yes. Eric Fisher, only his 2nd field goal. He has 5 points and a timeout is called. And Greg Popovich is upset with Steven Jackson getting him back to the bench. Jackson was going after one of the officials, and he did not want him to pick up a technical.
Looks like we got ourselves in a situation down here.
One man risks it all to save a town.
Tell your boss I'm coming to get him.
Don't miss Steven Seagal in Fire Down Below. Saturday at 8, one of the Saturday night new classics on TNT.
A lot of this is directly related. Obviously, we're playing good D, but if we all go get the board and push it, we're in great shape, right? Everybody on that defensive board. Everybody on that board. Okay? Otherwise, you want to be in motion. Just play out of motion. Let's get it moving a little bit. We're starting to stand around too much. Here we go. Here we go. Let's go.
Well, 2 out of the 3 points that Greg Popovich made. Here we see him talking to Jackson, who emotionally that time almost let it go. When after the officials, Popovich pulled him back and said, if anybody's going to yell at the officials, I'll do it. Get yourself back in the huddle. We're going back to Pop's points in the timeout. 2 of the points were rebound. The 3rd one was, let's get some movement in the offense.
Last touch by the Lakers, so a new shot clock for the Spurs. 5.5 remaining in the 3rd. San Antonio up by 5. Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal series between the Spurs and the Lakers. Game 2 here on Wednesday night. Robinson, like O'Neal, got a piece of it. And back come the Lakers. Horry with O'Neal and George on the front line. Fisher and Bryant in the backcourt. Not getting good position and is fouled by Robinson.
And that's a great repost to the ball by Kobe Bryant. The ball went in, so O'Neal back out and then back in where he got it deep and could wheel without any defensive help. Very good basketball by the Lakers right there.
I would probably say that Phil Jackson reminded the team we have not been throwing the ball to the big man, getting some punches.
Shaq just 2 of 4 from the line.
These are attempts versus the different defenders. Versus Robinson, 2 for 9. Rose, 2 for 3. Versus Duncan, 2 for 2. His total from the floor, 6 for 14 right now.
$16 points for O'Neal, along with 17 rebounds. George trying to help out, cheating off. And Duncan thought he was fouled by Horry. Mobley is back, depending on George, but he will roam. O'Neal with a drop step. Malik Rose. And Ori able to stretch for that rebound.
Bruce Bowen's got to shoot that open three-point shot. He's knocked in two. He's got to be confident enough to keep shooting the ball when left open.
He's just such a good team player, and he's so concerned about maybe him over-exerting himself in a situation where he doesn't want to.
Ginobili from downtown. Manu Ginobili, a star with Argentina's national team, a standout in the Italian League, a second-round pick back in 1999 in his rookie season. In his first playoff experience, that's a traveling violation called on O'Neal.
And that's the old pull-the-chair defensive trick as O'Neal was backing in. Rose let go of the defensive pressure here. And with O'Neal not being able to feel Rose's body, that led to the traveling violation.
Spurs 53, Lakers 47. Duncan, yes, and the foul.
He puts pressure by turning, facing up. Then he only needs one dribble from that far out. Takes his steps and finishes it off. Kobe starts to reach in, doesn't get far enough back to dig and help.
Foul committed by Robert Horry, his second. Tim Duncan to the line, only 3 of 7 at the line. Duncan putting up some impressive numbers as he did in Game 6 in the game against the Phoenix Suns, despite the fact that he did not shoot well, only 4 for 12, but came up with his 4th career triple-double.
He's almost line driving the free throw right now. He has very little arc on the ball at all.
Nice arc by Kobe off the reverse. So the Spurs now lead 55-49.
And when you take one of those 7-footers out like Robinson, then the basket protection for San Antonio is much different with the 6'7" Malik Rose.
Parker and O'Neal able to rip it down. Coming up on 3 to go in the third. Harv Albert, Lazar, Mike Fratello, Jeff Van Gundy, Greg Sager. We're in San Antonio for game 1 of this best of 7. Kobe Bryant. And his shooting has been way off. Now 10 for 25. Duncan playing the look away from Parker. And the Spurs on a roll. They now lead by 8.
Remember what Popovich said in the timeout. Let's try and push the basketball, explore, see what we get in transition. We're seeing it happen right now.
Foul is called on the Spurs. Duncan and Rose doubling up on O'Neal. Foul on Malik Rose. That is his 3rd. And a timeout has been called. San Antonio with an 8-point lead. Belgium grew up in France, had a sparkling rookie year last season, terrific sophomore season, and to add to that, Tony has been selected one of People magazine's 50 most beautiful people. Parker did a photo shoot, we're told, for the magazine about 2 weeks ago. There he is, one of the top 50, and our condolences to the Czar, Jeff, who once again just missed out. We've learned he was number 51.
Marv, I don't know if you felt it back east when you were doing those games, but I felt it out west. The groundswell for him to be included in that top 50 with the Western women was incredible.
Yeah, Jeff, he has not handled it well.
Been very disappointed. Talked to him off that ledge.
I just missed them by 1.
Yeah, you're right there.
51. Ed,
Rude, you, as coaches?
Oh, you have names. All right, here's Bryant. Now Parker met by Fisher. Ginobili. Coming up on 2 minutes remaining in the third. Parker for 3. And Ginobili took it out of the hands of Shaw. Another Laker turnover. Ginobili for 3. Yes! It has been an impact performance by Manu Ginobili. He extends the San It's a down low to Matson. He's rejected by Duncan. And last touch by the Lakers.
Tim Duncan took a shot in his jaw that time. He's going down the floor, holding his shin. Right there, the left arm catches Duncan after the block shot.
Lakers have now turned it over 13 times. Spurs have hit 4 from downtown in this third quarter. Speedy Claxton is back. This is Claxton. And then away from the ball, we get a whistle. The foul is called on Matson of the Lakers.
Marv, when Duncan's posting up, I don't like Claxton being right in front, the first man in front of Duncan. Fisher can give too much help and close down the middle of the floor for Tim Duncan. I think Claxton needs to cut through and get a shooter in front of Duncan.
14th foul on the Lakers. And Ginobili trying to get it to Rose. And a foul that'll put the Lakers in the penalty. Foul on Bryant, that's his third. So Ginobili will shoot a 74% free throw shooter. San Antonio only 7 of 14 at the line. They continue to struggle at the foul line, yet they have this 11-point edge. Well, NBA.com has compiled 10 of the best shots in NBA playoff history. Log on to see the candidates and vote for the best shot only on NBA.com or America Online, keyword NBA.com.
Greg Popovich was telling us earlier today that their two greatest weaknesses are free throw shooting and turnovers. They can withstand one of the two. They haven't turned it over tonight, but they're continuing to miss free throws.
What a play by Bowen, rejecting Bryant.
You'll see Bowen is relentless in his pursuit of Kobe Bryant. Kobe pulls it back. Bowen stays with it, gets a piece of it. We see Danny Ferry come in the game. They can play Ferry now because he can match up with Ori.
But Kobe comes right back against Ginobili.
Right, they switched on the sideline or on the baseline out of bounds play. And you know Bryant, every time he gets a chance to go at Ginobili or Jackson and get going off him, is going to attack him.
Kobe now 11 of 28. He has 24 points. We're down to 40 seconds remaining on the third. Rose. Foul is called on San Antonio, and that puts the Spurs in the penalty. Foul on Ferry, his second. Greg Popovich guiding his team to a 60-victory season. For San Antonio, their second ever 60-win season. They did it back in 94-95. They won 62 and lost 20 this year. 60 and 22, best record in the NBA. Number 1 seed in the Western Conference.
Popovich very upset because of the fact that you're giving the Lakers 2 free throw opportunities, 2 points that they can put on the board. Really unnecessary foul that time under the basket. You got to be smart, understand when your team is either in the bonus or close to the bonus, and avoid those kinds of fouls.
Think about it. Ginobili went to the line with 2 that could have put him up 13. He takes Duncan out. Instead of going up 13 right here, they're going to cut it to possibly 7.
Coming up on a half minute remaining in this third quarter. Claxton. Ferry able to grab the rebound, and they have a new shot clock with just 10 remaining in the quarter.
And now this will be Claxton to break down Fisher off the dribble and try and create a shot for himself or for a teammate.
Claxton penetrates. Will not count. Offensive foul. So the Lakers get it back with 2 seconds to go in the quarter.
Claxton turns the corner, going to his right. There's Matson stepping up in front of the guideline there on the floor. The officials look at to take the offensive foul.
And right here, San Antonio has got to guard against the long pass to O'Neal in the paint. They should front and back him. Put somebody in front and somebody in behind it.
Robinson looking to step in front.
Yeah, you have to take the man off the ball then, Jeff, to do it that way.
Bryant lost the dribble off his foot with 0.6 of a second remaining in the third. And Ginobili fires it down. Shaq goes the other way, and that will do it. Third quarter. Manu Ginobili, a key factor in the third. 6 of his 7 in the third quarter. Tim Duncan, the high man, 23.7 rebounds. Shaquille O'Neal, 16 points, 18 rebounds. Kobe Bryant has not shot well, but has 24.
Does this remind you of anyone? Kobe Bryant taking the ball, turning the corner, up and under on the other side. A little Dr. J-like by Kobe Bryant.
And Kobe with 24 points, has not shot well, only 11 of 28 from the field. Lakers just 34%. Spurs at 36.
I would have to say that Kobe's worked very hard to try and get his field goal attempts last night. This has not been easy, and that's because of the pressure that the Spurs have put on him.
Ginobili with the steal. Ginobili able to split through, and he's fouled. Look out. Oh, Devin George went down, and he's hurt. Which is the last thing the Lakers want to see. They are without Rick Fox, out for the rest of the playoffs because of a torn tendon in his left foot. And as you can see, Devin George in a great deal of pain as the Lakers trainer Gary Healy is out to take a look. 22nd timeout has been called.
The Lakers just don't have the depth that other teams have to withstand injuries like this, and we see here Ginobili again very active on the ball, deflecting it, and then makes a nice dribble penetration move, splits him, gets fouled, and then you can see Devin George come down and twist his ankle.
The left ankle, I think, rolls over on. That's what happens. The left ankle, as he came down, rolled over on it. It happened before that point right there, is where he turns that left ankle.
Rick Fox looking on. Rick sitting out with that foot injury. Derek Fisher saying what a huge loss Rick Fox is because he brought so much emotion to the floor in big ball games. Now the Lakers take a full timeout as they continue to check out Devin George. Devin George off the court and headed back to the locker room, and a nice reaction from this crowd here in San Antonio as they applaud the efforts of George. Ginobili will go to the line, and Phil Jackson with Mark Matson, Kobe Bryant now at the forward. Brian Shaw, Derek Fisher in the backcourt with Shaq at center. For more of that, let's go to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Marv, as you mentioned, the players helped Devin George off the court. When he got back in the back room, they had a wheelchair waiting for him. They put him in the wheelchair. They wheeled him into the locker room. They'll examine the foot, the ankle, and then also take x-rays here in the building.
Foul called on Claxton. That's his second. It is a 10-point San Antonio lead. Derek Fisher to the line. We're just getting started here in the fourth quarter.
Well, what this injury does, the fact that Fox is out, and now you have George out, puts Kobe Bryant at the small forward position. Shaw comes in at the true guard spot. And in talking to Phil Jackson prior to the game, they actually had used this during the course of this season. Skip a year, go back 2 seasons past. He had done it back then, played Kobe as a small forward. In fact, so if they had another true guard that was a regular starter for him, they played Kobe as a starting small forward. Now it'll be interesting to see with Kobe out there trying to get himself going, and the best defender sitting on the bench, will in fact Kobe get going.
Once again, Jackson not able to hit. He thought he was fouled. Jackson is 0 for 6 from the field. We touched on it earlier last season in the playoffs between these two clubs. The Spurs led the Lakers in the fourth quarter of all 5 games, but won only 1. And the foul, offensive foul. That's 3 on O'Neal.
Shaq comes up with a terrific offensive second shot opportunity, but then by taking that step into Rose does a pretty good job of acting right there, picking up the offensive foul.
To me, Shaquille O'Neal is the most difficult guy to referee in this league because you could call his contact displacement almost on every possession, and that wouldn't be fair to him.
Claxton is open.
Yes.
San Antonio back to a 10-point lead. For the series last year in the postseason, San Antonio shot a combined 33% against the Lakers in the 4th quarter. Here's Shaw. Ryan Shaw, such a valuable player come playoff time as we have seen the last 3 years.
How many times do you remember Shaw coming up more with a big basket for Phil Jackson's team when they need him?
And he has been playing 4 minutes since the injury suffered by Fox. Oh, Ginobili with that reverse switch. Shaquille O'Neal as Malik Rose felt the contact. You guys get the feeling we are seeing very early stages of what is to come in the career of Manu Ginobili?
Well, I think so, and I think what I like about him is he's fearless. I mean, the game is not too big for him. A lot of players in this league, when the games get more important, it gets too big for certain guys.
You'll see this one that brought the crowd to its feet here when Duncan gives a little handoff. He comes up on the other side. Remember, he is a left-hander, so it's easy for him to finish that way. It's easy for me to say that it's easy for him to finish that way.
And we might have to have a revote on that Lamasso's footwork. Well, that could have been a little bit too early, but again, free throw shooting right now, so critical.
Well, the Spurs now 9 of 19. Ginobili just 3 of 7 at the line. Ginobili was slowed when he first reported to the Spurs following the World Championships in Indianapolis. He had suffered a sprained ankle, so he really did not get into it at first. Here's Bryant. Kobe has 26 points. That was shot number 30. And we still have better than 9 minutes remaining in the game. Kobe's 12 for 30 from the field. Crowd wants Duncan to take it at Matson.
And we know that the Lakers normally are reluctant to double team. That time they came and it forced Duncan to turn away towards the baseline.
And they're going to double off Claxton, so either he's going to have to make shots or they're going to have to get somebody in there who can.
O'Neal, nice pass. Shaq was doubled. He fouled Matson. So the Spurs now lead 67-62.
I thought he was coming with the sweeping hook, Marv, and then he dropped it off at the last second.
Ginobili with 8 of the Spurs' last 10 points. Ginobili rebounded by Shaw, and the Lakers in the midst of a run. They're within 5. Now Duncan defending on O'Neal, who goes glass against Tim Duncan.
You think he did the glass shooting drill today?
Well, I think Shaq kind of enjoyed going glass against the NBA's MVP, Tim Duncan. And the Lakers, with 6 unanswered, are within 3. Headlines, we check around 21. Paul Pierce led the Celtics with 34. The Los Angeles Lakers within 3 points. Just under 8 to go in the 4th. Duncan with a strong shot, rebounded by O'Neal. That's 21 rebounds for Shaq. The Lakers have trailed by as many as 11 and have not played well, but here they are, down by only 3.
How come when you do around the league and you throw those little tidbits out, Jeff and I never get a chance to inject our opinions on certain things, our feelings. You kind of like take that over as your thing.
Now, you've mentioned this before.
So obviously.
And it is by design.
And I don't want to be lumped into his complaints, Marv. I think you're doing a great job with the play heading.
3 on the shot clock. O'Neal. Buzar just wants to keep talking. That's why, although we wanted to see you back, he was so happy when he had all that extra mic time.
I heard.
Oh, nice move by Parker. And the Spurs now lead 69-66.
And Greg Popovich made a strong point that it couldn't just be Tim Duncan. They had to play basketball tonight and try to create offense, not just rely on Duncan.
Shaquille O'Neal with 24 points. And the Lakers, who have their shooting problems, turning it here in the fourth quarter. They now have hit 7 of their last 9 shots.
Well, I know you weren't looking, but Shaq just sent the message to you as you went down the floor. He said, "End 1." He just wanted to remind you that it was end 1 on the last basket.
And Garth, we saw Shaquille that night when we checked into the hotel, and I wished him good luck, and he said, "I don't need good luck. I just need a few calls."
Bryant to the fadeaway. Rebounded by Robinson.
Yeah, they said, well, he looked much smaller up close. No, he did not.
Ginobili for 3.
Yes.
He is a very cool customer. He has played in a number of big games overseas. And as you mentioned, Jeff, this playoff series has had no effect at all on him. 15 points for Ginobili. 14 in the second half. That will count, and the foul.
And the only way that Bryant's gotten good looks against Bruce Bowen is off the pick and roll, where he can get rid of Bowen up on him, get some space. There he takes it to the basket and hits a great running hook shot over both Duncan and Robinson.
And Bowen tried to go underneath the screen that time. They trailed them like by half a man. That gave Kobe the opportunity to turn the corner.
Foul on Duncan is 4th. Bryant to the line only once before this and hit the free throw. 3-point play for Kobe. And the Lakers are within 1.
Well, Popovich is telling us now Jackson, because of his 0 for 6 shooting, is on the bench. Nobody stays in at the 2-guard spot. Bowen stays in to defend Kobe.
Parker not able to hit. Ginobili with the rebound. Well, Phil Jackson telling us earlier, that's the guy the Lakers fear. And he was correct. Ginobili has been the star for the Spurs in the second half. Shaw able to handle that missed shot from Duncan. Ginobili knocked it away from Bryant. Here's Bowen. San Antonio up by 3. Here's Shaw looking to tie. Parker on the loose ball. Just under 5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Parker with a hesitation move, and he is fouled. Shaquille O'Neal defending on Tony Parker picks up number 4. Moments ago, Kevin George making his way out of the Laker locker room. You see the concerned look on the part of team physician Dr. Steve Lombardo. Kevin George suffering an ankle injury, so the Lakers without Rick Fox, and for the moment without Kevin George. Tim Duncan with a terrific play to keep it alive as Shaquille O'Neal went flying into the photographer's area, and fortunately, from what we can tell, no one was hurt. Here's Duncan going at Shaq, and that's number 5.
tries to bring the ball up under his arm. Shaq reaches out. Both things got accomplished there. Duncan getting the arms under. He wanted to try and draw the foul. Number 5 on Shaquille O'Neal, and now an opportunity for free throws.
Well, Tim Duncan now 4 for 9 from the line. For more on Devin George, let's check in with Craig Sager.
Well, I just left the X-ray room. X-rays are negative. Devin George has been diagnosed with a severely sprained left ankle. Obviously, his status for the rest of the series will be determined tomorrow when we look to see what the swelling is, but the X-rays are negative.
All right, thank you, Craig. Duncan converts on both. And the Spurs lead 77-71. San Antonio has led by as many as 11. The Lakers getting back into it here in the fourth quarter, but Shaquille O'Neal is now playing with 5 fouls. Shot clock down to 7. Bryant rebounded by Robinson. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the fourth. Duncan draws the double, and then the pass got away. So the Lakers get it back.
From my angle, I did not see the defensive player grab Duncan's wrist, but it's hard to believe that Duncan would make that big of a pass.
But I like the idea by Duncan to trust his teammates. The double team comes, hit it out to the open man, trust him to make the shot or make the right play.
Ball back in the hands of Bryant, and a foul called. As Bowen and Ori get involved, foul is called on Bowen.
Well, Bowen can get under your skin. He's grabbing, he's tugging, he's reaching all the time, and there he tries to push Ori away. Ori comes up with the arm to free himself. That's where the foul is called.
O'Neal, loose ball foul, and that is number 6 on Shaquille O'Neal. Jack hearing it from this crowd. He had fouled off during the regular season only 5 times.
Just a little shove right there. That's where it's called as the ball hits on the rim. A little bit of mistiming as far as the jump was going, but a little shove, that's where the foul is called.
The Lakers are over the limit. Robinson to the line. We're down to 3:26 remaining in the fourth quarter. And apparently Phil Jackson had something to say to Jim Capers.
You get 30 seconds after a person fouls out to insert someone. And I think Phil was just waiting for the official to have to come over there so he could get a chance to give him a
And
shot.
he said to the official, that's exactly right, Jeff. He said to him, from the cross I could see him say, I've got 30 seconds. The official said, you're going to put somebody in. He said, I've got 30 seconds. And then he went down and told Samaki to report in.
Now it's critical right now for San Antonio not to think this game is over. Kobe Bryant, if you let down in your individual or team defense, can bring you right back into it very quickly.
San Antonio with an 8-point lead. Here is Bryant. Yes. So the Spurs lead by 6.
We hope you would relish this opportunity to try and turn this thing around, knowing that they're so short-handed that it would fall on his shoulders to try and do something. He needs the rest of his guys to lock in on defense, secure a rebound, and give him a chance on offense.
David Robinson able to get in deep on Samaki Walker. Extends to an 81-73 lead. It's been a solid performance for Robinson. Here's Walker. Ori with the rebound. And here's Fisher for 3. Derek Fisher from downtown as Robert Ori was complaining to the baseline officials in Capers that someone caught him in the face. once again, but the Lakers are down by only 5 with 2 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. And the whistle away from the ball. Foul against Horry. That's his third. Lakers over the limit. Timeout is called. When we resume, the Spurs will go to the line.
Well, Horry's upset because he was hit at the other end of the floor. Watch him there. Puts the elbow into Duncan and eventually tosses him to the ground.
San Antonio with an 81-76 lead on Los Angeles. 2:12 remaining in the fourth quarter. Right here, time for tonight's spectacular finish presented by Armor All Whites.
Robinson on Barkley. It's his game to win, or we go to overtime. Barkley, 20-footer, yes, with 1.8 seconds. Charles Barkley with an MVP jump shot.
Well, Charles back in the studio enjoying that highlight. His Phoenix Suns in '93 went on to the NBA Finals, facing the Chicago Bulls. That was a terrific series. Bulls won it in 6.
I honestly believe in that series that if they did not win it there in game number 6, game 6, I thought Chicago may have been running out of gas, Marv. That may have been it for them, because they had really used up a lot of energy, a lot of gas in that series. And a second shot opportunity. Grant got the rebound, threw it back out. Paxson hits the jumper to win it.
6-point San Antonio lead as we come up on 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. It's all Kobe for the Lakers. Robert Horry for 3.
But Marv, I like that strategy. Do not let Kobe Bryant beat you. Trap him. Make it go to Horry. Make him make shots or the other players.
San Antonio can hold on to the ball, use the clock. Down to 6 on the 24, and Duncan got rocked, so he'll head back to the line.
See, they had him off balance that time, too, because he didn't know Fisher was coming. When he spun in at the last second, Fisher was there. If he could not hit him in the head, they really had him off balance. It was a terrible field goal attempt that time by Duncan because of him trapping and pressing.
Well, Tim Duncan now 7 for 13 at the line, and Tim Duncan honored prior to tonight's game as the NBA's most valuable player for the second straight season is tonight's Gatorade Peak Performer. Outstanding all-around game for the MVP, and he's also hit 5 of 6 from the line in the fourth quarter.
And the last one, he got a little more arc on it. He started up a little bit into the air over the front of the rim. It was a better looking shot that time.
Here's Bryant for 3. Kobe Bryant from downtown with 1 minute and 25 remaining in the fourth. Robinson is fouled by Walker, but it stops the clock.
But Jeff, on that last pick and roll out there, what San Antonio did is they got out hard and showed, but then they went back again. They never trapped him to make Kobe give up the ball.
And again, I think, especially with O'Neal out of the game, you've got to trap him. Again, make the ball go to Shaw, Fisher, Horry, and Samaki Walker. Make them make shots.
Robinson only a 71% free throw shooter this season, 2 for 3 tonight. Spurs 85, Lakers 79. Here's pressure being shown by San Antonio with 1:15 remaining. Fisher looking for Bryant. Kobe shakes off ball, shoots the 3, and hits again! 85-82, it's a 3-point game. That's his third from downtown. 1 minute remaining in the fourth.
Get a defensive stop without fouling. That's the key. And there's the offensive foul to give him the possession back again. Jeff, I thought you were almost about ready to say, no, don't shoot this one, Kobe, but maybe you weren't, because Kobe knew he had it all the way.
And even though this is an offensive foul, the pick and roll right there, it's an obvious call right there. The pick and roll is getting Bryant the shot. It has to be trapped to get it out of his hand.
points, 8 of the last 11 since Shaquille O'Neal fouled out. First time the shot.
Moment we see him hit the first three-pointer, and then again off the pick-and-roll situation, the second three-pointer for Kobe to bring him right back here. 85-82, favor the Spurs.
Lakers 1 timeout left. Spurs 2 and a 20. Down to 55.4 remaining in this fourth quarter of Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinal series between the Lakers and the Spurs. Brian Shaw. Robert Horry. Kobe Bryant in three-point territory. Almost dribbled off the head of Horry. Here's Bryant for three. And a foul is called.
No. I think he stepped on the line out of bounds. I think when he shot the jump shot, Marv, he stepped on the sideline. Here comes Kobe. He gets down the sideline, and the official calls him stepping back with the right foot on the line.
So the ball back to San Antonio with a half minute remaining in the fourth. Spurs up by 3. Duncan's pass tried to lead Robinson, but he threw it away, went too far.
And Marv, that's one of their favorite need plays. It has been since those two have played together. Robinson was wide open, just a very poor pass by Duncan.
San Antonio has a foul to give. Lakers with the ball, trailing by 3.
But you know they're going to wind up shooting a 3.
Here it is. Rebounded by Robinson. Oh, he got hit by Horry twice, and then Duncan shoved Horry. Things getting very physical. Horry swiping at Robinson, and then connected in the midsection. And let's see how the officials sort this one out.
Well, because they had let the clock run down, Kobe has to shoot the 3 at that particular time. And then as they're going for the loose ball, you see him swiping for it. And I think Horry it's a second swipe at it by Horry that hits Robinson in the midsection. There's 1 and 2.
A technical foul on Robert Horry. And a personal foul on Samaki Walker.
Mark, I disagree with Kobe Bryant right there. I think he should have taken it to the basket. San Antonio is a horrible free throw shooting team. Take the quick 2, cut it to 1, and then force San Antonio to make 2 free throws.
But because Chuck, he had let so much time run down, that's why I said, you know what he's going to do, elevate and shoot a 3. He had predetermined at that point he was going for the 3.
But as you see here, Mike, there's 9.9 left, and that's after the rebound sequence. So I think he should have, Bowen was really pushing up on him. I think he would have been able to get to the rim.
And if he turns the corner, who knows? Somebody may leave their man, come to stop him, then he kicks it out to the next open guy.
How about Tim Duncan, who got involved here? Although actually just a light push, and the official step between. Timeout call by the Lakers, 8.9 remaining in the fourth quarter. The Spurs lead 87-82. The Lakers using their final timeout. San Antonio does have a foul to give. Lakers just use their final timeout.
So what you do is, if you're San Antonio right now, you tell your people, get up into them, force them to put the ball on the floor, make them dribble, and as soon as they start to dribble and go faster, you have a foul to give, they take it back out on the side out of bounds. You've already seen them play that the coach just drew up, so you defend it once again, and then don't foul. There's no more timeouts for the Lakers.
And Marv, when George went down with the injury, the Lakers were charged with 2 timeouts, a 20 and a full. That's going to come back and really hurt them right now. If they would have just taken the full to start, they would have saved their 20, and they could have advanced it if they forced San Antonio to shoot more free throws.
Brian Shaw will put it in play. Ginobili on the inbounds. Horry returns. Shaw shoots the 3, got put short, and that was it. The San Antonio Spurs is best of 7. Greg Popovich telling us earlier this was huge for the Spurs. They needed a victory here in Game 1, in particular when you look back at the playoff history between the Spurs and the Lakers. Shaquille O'Neal fouls out the playoff game for the first time ever. Kobe Bryant nearly single-handedly led the Lakers back with 38 shots, 16 of 38, 37 points. But it was Tim Duncan, the MVP, who had another solid performance, 28 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and hit his free throws in the fourth quarter. Let's go to Craig with Tim Duncan.
Well, Tim, congratulations on winning the MVP and also not having your night ruined here tonight. What was the difference in tonight's game?
I thought defensively we were solid the whole way through. They hit some shots late to get back in it, but I thought we were just great on the defensive end.
A year ago, you had the lead 5 times the fourth quarter, only won 1. What was the difference this year?
Making free throws down the stretch, and we got a lot of different guys that can put the ball in the hole, so it's a little different team.
The PR department of San Antonio did not campaign for you to win the MVP. There are no placards, no signs. Were you a bit surprised when you won it?
I was surprised when I won, honestly, but this town's kind of not like that. The team's not like that, so I won it. It's great. We won.
Your coach came up to you after the game. You had a nice conversation. What did he tell you?
We were talking about the last pass I made to Dave that I threw to the support in the back. It was just a bad pass.
The MVP still has room for improvement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks a lot. Let's go back down the bar.
All right, thanks, Craig. So 28 for Tim Duncan. How about David Robinson? 14 points, 11 rebounds. The rookie, Manu Ginobili, 15 points, a playoff career high, 14 of the 15 in the second half. For Shaquille O'Neal, 24 points, 21 rebounds, 4 blocked shots. And Kobe Bryant with the 16 of 38 shooting and with several three-point shots down the stretch, got the Lakers back into it, finished with 37 points. So the Spurs defeat the Lakers in Game 1, 87-82. Game 2 here in San Antonio on Wednesday night, right here on TNT, and that'll be at 8:30 Eastern time start. Next, it's Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Stay tuned for more post-game reaction, interviews, and news from tonight's action. For the Czar, Mike Fratello, Jeff Van Gundy.
In Atlanta, Georgia, on another playoff night on TNT as the conference semifinals begin. It's Inside the NBA, presented by Hyundai. Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley, Troy Hudson of the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Spurs take the opener over the Lakers 87-82. Shaquille O'Neal fouls out, not for the first time in his playoff career, but for the 8th time in his playoff career. Kobe tries to take over late, hits a few, but the Spurs hold him off. Would you please give me a little video support and tell me your impressions
At the end of the game, I thought clock management. You know, Kobe hit some tough threes to get them back into the game, but at the end of the game, I don't think they use great clock management. It's 47 seconds left. I think right now, with the way San Antonio shoots free throws, you go to the basket, and the next possession they turned it over. Then you're down still. You still go to the basket. San Antonio does not shoot free throws well. They had just turned the ball over, 2 quick threes. But this was big. At the end of the first half, we talked about this. Guys don't like shaking the shot to mess up their free throw percentage. Field goal. Their field goal percentage. And
don't ever let your horn go out with the ball in your hand.
No question.
Kevin Willis hitting the 3 just before the half. Now, the other burning question on the minds of viewers, I'm sure, is...
What are those weapons of mass destruction at?
No, that's not it.
Oh, that's another question. That was what I was asking.
How about the bet that Kenny made at halftime? If you weren't with us at the half, it went something like this.
I will guarantee you this half that Kobe will shoot over 80% from the field in the second half.
Whatever you want to bet.
Wow.
Anything you want to bet.
Yeah, I'm in on that bet, too.
Over 80%.
I think I'll take a chunk of that, too. 80. That, of course, was said after Kobe went 6 for 19, 32% in the first half.
And he starts out on fire. He's making me look like a genius. I was like, 1, 2, way to go, Kobe. Get loose on him. He comes back, the 3rd shot in a row. I'm looking like a genius.
Hey.
But then he starts forcing shots.
Yeah, but
This
then
might take a while.
You might have looked like a genius, but you still went back to your old dumb self by the end of the game.
I tell you, but he just took a couple tough shots. If he would have stayed in rhythm, he would have been okay. That was not a shot. He was passing that one, so he should be 10.
How do you know he was passing
I
that?
saw the close-up.
He only passed because the guy was hand was all over.
Then he start warming up again.
You know the thing that's amazing?
He's back.
There's no defense can stop these shots either. He just got to hope he
See,
misses.
that's in and out, man. Those are in and out. Those
No,
shots.
that's a burger joint.
No, my gosh, man. I tell you, those shots are good shots. He's going to hit those shots any day.
And after Shaquille O'Neal fouled out, Kobe taking it upon himself to...
See, these 2 threes got us back. Here we go. And he doesn't...
That was not a good one right there.
Us got us back.
Back to 80%. 80%.
Ooh, nice little. Got to worry about that tonight, David.
So here you go. He shot 53% in the second half. 10 out of 19, 6 out of 19.
Well, he's consistent. He shot 19 field goals both halves.
Certainly did. Why is it I get real nervous when these two yahoos start making
No, but we didn't say anything about
We yahoos now, huh?
Yeah. Well, that's in Shorty's view. We talked at halftime about the contribution David Robinson needed to make, Charles.
No, we did not.
Yes, we did.
He played all right.
14 points and 11 rebounds.
What was I screaming in the green room tonight, Kenny? And you made fun of me last week.
I'm hungry.
Ginobili.
That wasn't just last week. That's every week.
That's it. Manu Ginobili was huge tonight. You know, you look at this, hey, you know what? That's funny. My man Ginobili, who Kenny don't think can play, had 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 steals.
Ginobili could not play. I said he could not stop Kobe Bryant.
No, but nobody can.
Energy-wise, he's a great young player in this league, but he can't stop Kobe.
The reason I picked San Antonio to win this series, and I said it, number one, Robert Horry cannot guard Tim Duncan, so Shaq's going to have to use a lot of energy on Tim Duncan. But also, the reason the Lakers lost on this team a lot, Kobe's been killing them. But with Ginobili, who's the third guy, but you start out with Bowen, who's a terrific defender. They got Jackson, who's terrific. Then they bring Ginobili. I just think over a 7-game series, Kobe's going to get worn down. That's why I picked the San Antonio Spurs, and David Robinson will ride off into the sunset.
Ask you this question.
He's going to ride off into the sunset.
First of all, have you seen his commercial where he works out, so it doesn't look like he's going to get worn out. But did he get worn down in your series?
No, he didn't. You know, I don't think he'll get worn down.
You guys ran traps and everything at him.
Yeah, we did. I don't think he'll get worn down at all. You know, I think he's conditioned to play at this level.
Hey, Troy, you've already disagreed with Kenny. You crossing the line now. You crossing the line when you disagree with me.
He's a man who he's sitting here because one guy did not get worn down. Because if they would have worn him down the way he was playing and the way Kevin Garnett was playing, he wouldn't be sitting here. We'd have Kobe sitting here.
You know the reason they lost that series? You know, I heard his answer tonight, and I watched the series. They never recovered from Game 4. And I think that's the difference. Like, you played on teams that lost big games. For some reason...
As projected, the first half was kind of like sparring in a heavyweight round, and they came out and had a little jump on us in the second half. The difference in the game, obvious, is their foul shots. 35 foul shots to 12. I mean, that's ridiculous in a ball game that's as hotly contested as that. Especially when their guys are getting up into our shooters and up into our ball handlers. That there would only be 12 foul shots for my team. I mean, Tim Duncan had more than my basketball team had. I know it's his most valuable player night tonight, but I mean, really, that's ridiculous. They forced turnovers. I thought they were fouls, but they got away with it. And that's the difference in the game. They got the points off those turnovers, and they made hay in that particular time. We had a couple things that obviously Shaq getting 2 fouls on one subsequent play really dampened our chances towards the end of the game. And you know, then an offensive rebounding foul at the other end, and a minute later, you know, took him out of the game. He played a great game for us. Kobe's aggressive, perhaps as aggressive as I've seen him, and you know, found his rhythm in the second half at least, and got us going in the ballgame.
Phil, how much do you know about Devin's condition right now, and what kind of damper did that put
Went on foul shooting. The Lakers 9 out of 12 from the stripe. The Spurs 21.
Oh, please! Told you he's going to be a difference maker. And then Sears, get out of here, little fella.
That's Derek Fisher. He's talking about Derek Fisher.
The final score, by the way, was 87-82.
Nice,
the Spurs taking game one over the Lakers. Shaq had 24 and 21 before he fouled out. David Robinson, 14 points and 11 rebounds. Let's hear from both of those guys.
Just to shoot the ball well. We missed a couple of threes, missed a couple of chippies, but we feel good where we are. We think that that's the best I can do over there. You know, we still have a lot of room for improvement.
You mentioned the foul discrepancy. You fouled out. What did that do to your game? How did that limit you could do?
Didn't do anything to my game. It's just a lot of knick-knack fouls there being called. But I'm not going to change my game. I'm going to keep playing my game. They want to keep flopping, and if the refs want to keep you know, falling for that, then that's fine. But I'm not going to change my game.
You know, there's a couple swings after the whistle blew there, and one of them caught me in the family jewels, but, you know, I got my kids already, so I'm not worried about that.
Well, apparently you heard the funniest part of that soundbite because there was nothing funny about the shot the Admiral took.
Well, yeah, it was funny. We were down laughing. It was funny. It's always funny when it happens to somebody else.
Exactly right.
You're not about to worry about that. Nobody aim is that good.
Yeah, I think we've used that line before. What do you look for in game two of this series, Drew?
I look for the other guys on the Lakers to show up. You know, they have to find a way to score. You know, they can't just put it all on Shaq's and Kobe's shoulders. You know, they have to find a way to contribute somehow.
See, this is the first time they haven't seen double teams on Shaq and Kobe. So now they have to create off the dribble, and this is like a shock to them. It was like throwing somebody in the water who couldn't swim. So they were fighting to get the ball across court. They were fighting to make moves. Relax. Take the backstroke and get yourself a basket.
Yeah, but you get sooner or later somebody's going to have one of those monster games like Tayshaun Prince did, because without Devin George probably and Rick Fox, there's got to be that one guy that comes out of nowhere.
Okay, Kobe, by the way, led the way with 37, as you know. He is at the podium right now. Let's go back live to San Antonio.
Turning around doing that.
Well, I mean, from our standpoint as players, you know, it's important to just try to play through it. You can go to the referees and plead your case, and that's normal. But for the most part, you know, we just try to play through it, and we leave that to our coaches.
They got into you in terms of disrupting the offense by making you guys do more off the dribble. Could you talk a little bit about how that their defense kind of pushed you out of what you wanted to do?
I don't really think they did too much of that. I mean, we had several occasions where we tried to operate off the dribble, but for the most part, we felt pretty good about our shots. I mean, we had some were contested, some were good looks. It didn't go for us, but you know, in a 7-game series, it's about building a rhythm, getting a better understanding of the team and how they flow offensively and defensively as the series goes on.
Game 2 in that series Wednesday.
Nice.